I've been fortunate in working with Jen, and maybe this is in part what you're asking, to be able to come to her and the two of us sit down and say, how do we want to make this? What do we want this restaurant to be like? I know that this is how it traditionally is, and know that this is how this usually lines up. But in general, I feel like our approach here is very collaborative, and everybody contributes. And the kitchen is, of course, there are the times where you have to draw the line, but by and large, it's like, taste this, what do you think? What should we do about this? We have this antelope. What can we, how can we work with this? So I think it's different in that respect. I also think, a lot of people have this impression of both the food and the restaurant as a whole as being kind of soft. Like there's a little bit of a femininity to it that I think is, it's a little bit unusual, I think, in restaurants, and I think that people pick up on that right away. A lot of times the food has been, certain dishes are described as very delicate or feminine or soft, or, which is obviously just by virtue of the fact that I make it, and mostly women.
Is there any downside?
What's that?
Is there any downside to it?
Any downside? Well, women can be kind of rough. There's no question about it. I mean, everybody pretty much says what they think, and it can be. There have been some pretty heated moments for sure, and sensitivities get sort of like bruised a little bit here and there, but by and large, I think we're kind of usually able to like work it out.
Well, Taos Shorts gives people the opportunity to see what's out there in the world as far as indie filmmaking, and especially short films. So many people nowadays have our ADD, Feature films definitely have their place, and there's a lot of amazing indie feature films. But with a short film, incredibly, you have to have your story, your plot, your characters within 5 to 15 minutes, and then it's over. And with a short, coming to a shorts festival, you get a range of 15 different topics, ranging from women in Romania to animation of robots, and there's so much indie filmmaking going on out there that tells about the world. That's where the world comes through. The news of the world comes through is indie filmmaking, not Hollywood, because Hollywood's all like boy meets girl, boy falls in love, girl divorces boy, or whatever, And so that's why people should come, because it broadens their mind.
Well, it seems as being a woman business owner here has always seemed very comfortable to me. And perhaps that's because there have always been so many other women who were doing independent, successful things. I have any number of friends who are also women business owners. I think of Polly Ray, who developed the Dunn Street shops, and Rena Rosequist, who's owned the Mission Gallery for years and years, and both of whom are real fixtures here. Maybe all of that you spoke of is the standard thing of women in the West who did all of those things and set the stage for the rest of us who came later, who could feel comfortable being women and taking risks and speaking out on our own and owning our own businesses.
I grew up here. I grew up here with the belief that was instated upon me by everyone around me as I was growing up. When you are out of high school, you have to leave Taos. There is nothing in Taos for you. You cannot be successful in Taos. You have to go out into the world to meet success. Now, I call bullshit on that. I don't have a college degree. I own a business. It is successful. I feel successful. My students, they leave happy. I leave happy. The doors are not shutting despite the economic recession. I'm doing something I love because I'm serving my community. And that's what I'm here for. And that little mantra has to change. Kids who grow up here have to believe that there is something for them here when they leave. And if we don't build sidewalks and people keep getting run over, nobody's going to want to live here, period. I mean, there are things that this community has to do. It doesn't matter what color your skin or what your cultural background is. There are things that this entire community has to do to get on the same page, and we have to stop resisting that. And that's the bottom line there. And that's honest.
So I work with the Bridges Project, and we mainly offer comprehensive free college counseling services to students of all ages, so high school students, GED students, dropouts, people who are older, making midlife career changes, maybe have started families, taken some time off, and are going back to school. And specifically with first-generation students, that's the main reason why we exist, although we work with anybody. And I guess the reason that's important to me, I mean, it sounds kind of basic, like you're helping people get to college, but I just really believe, you know, I know that college might not be for everybody, but I do really believe that everybody has a right to access education and access information about how to get there. And I feel like if you're a first-generation student, that information isn't always really clearly attainable. So sometimes it seems like students and families just need a little bit of help walking through the process. And I feel really lucky because we just really get to witness how this changes families. We work with students and their parents and sometimes aunts and cousins, and you can really see how once somebody has kind of broken through, what that really does for a large family, and what all the different connections are. And I think also on the other end of that, if people come back to Taos and use their skills and talents and education, it just really enhances how vibrant our community is. So it feels to me like there's a long-term effect that, you know, we're not necessarily seeing yet. We're seeing little bits and pieces all over the place, but I believe that in the long run, you know, it really shapes the face of where we live.
I was a tour guide, and I got to meet a lot of people from all over the world, and I got a great job from being a tour guide. Yeah. I didn't know that was my interview. It just so happened. You don't know how things are going to happen. You don't know who you're going to give a tour to. So I got a great job at being a consultant for a Native American academic summer camp for medical students. And these are Native medical students, so they needed someone like me who was young. I was 26 at the time. I was young, who could be like a role model for these kids who were just going to medical school for the first time. But you meet people, Japanese people, whatever, Germans, American people, Amish people come and visit, and everybody comes to Taos Pueblo, or they should.
Wow. All of my teachers would be lovely if they would all come, and I think they would all adore it. I think that So if one of the most beautiful things about this community is the honesty that it impels us all to turn to, then if we can draw people who are interested in the same thing to come here for a vacation and to come here to explore, even for a shorter period of time, or for a yoga workshop, for example, then the whole community's vibration will be raised.
Well, I grew up with really strong women. My grandmother, my mother, my grandmothers, both of them. And I also grew up on the land. And so it sort of feels natural for me to work with women's agricultural cooperatives. I think as you look at food production worldwide, it's going to be up to women at some point to really keep food production moving forward in agriculture. And the reason why is that every time you work with women, I don't care if it's here in the country or in a foreign country, you'll ask them, why are you part of this cooperative? And they will always tell you, for the future of my children. And so I got into this probably 15 years ago, 17 years ago. I did my first project in Kyrgyzstan. They had just become independent from the Soviet Union. And I had several projects there working with women's cooperatives, helping them set up organizational structures, looking at weaving and fiber, and also setting up sheep and wool organizations. And they vary. Every country varies. Kyrgyzstan was specific to that, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and then I've done some work in Ecuador as well, Mexico. But they're all about women really looking at the future of food production, safe, healthy families, etc.
As far as I know, it's not something that's really concrete where it's like in some cities or in towns in Portland or whatever, you actually, write down your list of services and then you gain your list of services. It's not quite like that. It's more like once you're known for what people know that you do, you get exchanges like, oh, you need a bed? Cool. Can you come over here and weld me this table? Or, those are pretty basic, but it could be like, oh, I need some eggs in exchange for, actually now I remember a really great barter. I had an old computer that I bartered for a cord of wood. That's pretty good. And then I bartered my old Jeep for 2 truckloads of pit run that run around the shop. Stuff like that. Those are odd barters, but it's sort of like that guy needed a Jeep. It was an old Jeep. I didn't need an extra car. I have a lot of cars. It's just sort of how it is here. And then I needed pit run for a road. And so, yeah, those are odd barters. Yeah.
That's cool.
How about dental, tattoos, or piercings?
I
Any
wish.
barters there?
No, I'm still working on my dentist. I need to get that one going. I'm like, what do you need? Because I need dental work. That would be great. I know that people do that. Welding skills have not been the thing that my dentist needs quite yet. So
Maybe some trapeze equipment.
yeah, maybe some trapeze equipment. We'll see.
Ooh, feel love, crazy for your love, and when I get that feeling, sweet love, I'll be dealing.